Today, I want to talk about how you can turn a 3D printed part into something cleaner, higher quality and more professional. Because most people see 3D printing as just pressing print and getting a finished product. But in reality, that's the only beginning. In my opinion, the real work starts after the print is done. How you can clean the surface, how you smooth it, how you paint it, how you protect it, and even how you turn it into something that could actually be sold. That's where the real difference comes from. Because there is a huge gap between a raw printed part and a finished product. Sometimes it's the exact same model, but one looks like a toy and the other looks like a real product. And that difference is all about post processing. That's why even before my printer arrived, I didn't just buy Filament. I invested in tools, equipment for the entire process because I don't just want to print things. I want to create clean, professional, high quality results. I tried to think ahead, what will I need? Where can things go wrong? What tools are required at each step? Because I don't want to stop in the middle of project just because I am missing something. Let's start with materials. Right now I have PLA, PETG and TPU. PLA is the easiest one to start with. It's beginner friendly, easy to print and very forgiving. PETG is stronger and more durable, but also a bit more sensitive. You need better control with temperature and settings. And TPU is flexible, which makes it very interesting but also harder to print. It requires more attention and fine-tuning. So each material has its own purpose. Choosing the right filament is not just about quality. It is about using the right material for the right job. But material alone is not enough. For example, filament storage is very important. Filaments can absorb moisture from the air, especially PETG and TPU. And that moisture can ruin your print quality. You might see stringing, poor surfaces, or inconsistent extrusion. So I got vacuum bags and silica gel. Because how you store your filament directly affects your results. Another critical step is bed cleaning. The first layer is everything. If the first layer fails, the entire print is at risk. That's why I use isopropyl alcohol to clean the bed. Dust, oil, or fingerprints can prevent proper adhesion. But the key here is not using too much. It is using it correctly and consistently. For removing prints, I use a plastic scraper. And one important thing, don't rush. Wait for the bed to cool down. Trying to remove a part too early can damage both the print and the build plate. I also use simple tools like side cutters. They are extremely useful for cutting filament cleanly, removing supports, and cleaning small imperfections. Small details like this can make a big difference. Nozzle maintenance is another important area. I use tweezers, needles, and brushes for cleaning. But you have to be careful. The nozzle is a small part, but it has a huge impact on print quality. Trying to fix it aggressively can actually cause more damage. Now, let's talk about finishing. This is where everything changes. A raw print always has layer lines. That's normal. But if you sand it properly, clean it, and process it the right way, you can completely transform the look. I use sandpaper, deburring tools, precision knives. The key is patience. You don't go directly to a perfect surface. You improve it step by step. For painting, preparation is everything. Many people skip primer and that's a big mistake. Primer helps paint stick better and creates a smoother surface. The correct order is sand, clean, prime, paint, varnish. And always apply thin layers. Thick paint ruins details and creates bad surfaces. Varnish is also very important. It doesn't just improve appearance. It protects the part matte or glossy. Finishes can completely change how the product looks. For assembly, I use adhesives and basic tools like a drill because sometimes printing in multiple parts is more practical. And if you want the functional parts, you need proper assembly. I also got tools like a heat gun for small fixes. It can help remove stringing or smooth tiny imperfections. But again, control is everything. Too much heat can deform your part. For measurements, I use a caliper because in 3D printing, even 0.2 millimeter matters. If something doesn't fit, it doesn't matter how good it looks. So precision is key. And finally, safety, I use gloves, a mask, and I even have a fire extinguisher. It might seem excessive, but it is important. Dust, chemicals, heat, it all adds up. Better to be prepared. So overall, I am not just setting up a 3D printer. I am building a full production system. From storage to cleaning, from printing to finishing, from assembly to presentation, because in 3D printing, quality doesn't come from the printer alone. It comes from the entire process. I am still learning. I will test everything step by step. I will share what works, what doesn't, and what actually makes a difference. If you are just starting with 3D printing, don't focus on the machine. Focus on the process, because sometimes the difference between a good print and professional product is everything that comes after. If you are interested in this journey, don't forget to follow, because next we will test real prints, materials, tools, and see how to achieve professional level results together.